Hello, welcome to another episode of Gary's Garage. Today we're going to look at the BMW X3M competition. 510 horsepower, 440 foot-pound of torque, 3-litre twin-turbo B58 straight-six engine. Very low mileage example we've got here. I'll talk you through some of the features about the car, some of the interesting design points. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the X3 itself, but the X3M with the spoiler and the lower trim looks a lot nicer, I think. So we've got the full close open, electric wing mirrors there coming out, windows, rear tinted windows, privacy windows at the back. This particular example I think actually has got every single option on it from BMW with the exception of the electric operated tow bar. We've got the full panoramic glass sunroof here, opens as well, you can see that's all operating correctly. And inside, Burlington grey paintwork outside, inside this lovely grey leather interior. These sort of red inserts here on the front seats, standard with all the different colours, whether that's black or that very unusual sort of black and yellow colour they have, or indeed the red interior itself. So that's the car. Let's go around each element of it. First of all, we'll start off with the paintwork. 7,000 miles, just over 7,000 miles in this example. Unmarked paintwork, completely original, as you'd expect with a car this age. No stone chips that we can see anywhere, anything like that. Panel gaps you can see as we pan around here, all exceptional, no repairs whatsoever on that. Very good condition overall. As we're moving forward, keyless entry. I did show it before, so if we lock the car here, get the windows to close, and we'll just demonstrate that's working correctly. So here with the sunroof closing there, here with the key in hand, if we just walk up to the car, grab the handle, it will open automatically, and then you can see those wing mirrors opening, so that all works correctly. Moving around to the front, these slightly kind of black sort of trim marks here, again very good condition, no marks on those, no stone chips or scratches on the black mirrors either. Front parking sensors you can see here, we'll demonstrate they work in a minute, and the BMW, I think they call it crystal LED headlights, quite an unusual design there, a bit brighter in the daytime. Again, looking here at the front of the car, no stone chips of any sort there. Originally supplied by Dick Lovett in Bath at the end of 2019, very late 2019 car, December 19 I think it was in fact. And down there the sensor for all the various safety mods and parking mods that just come with this car. Coming around the other side here again, good panel gaps, no accident damage whatsoever, never even had a fender bender or any kind of parking prang, no door pings on the door, windscreen completely free of any chips, so that we can get that in with the lighting here, but no chips on the windscreen whatsoever or cracks or anything like that. Again, you'll notice on these mirrors, these little cameras here which actually provide the top-down parking view. Another feature will come in here where it looks as if you're a bird on top of the car when you're parking. It makes parking in small areas quite a lot easier. For the cab, obviously a petrol, as I said, 3-litre twin-turbo petrol straight six. Always run on super unleaded. Within the car there's actually every single fuel receipt that this car has ever consumed, all super unleaded. That's included with the service history as part of the documentation for this car. Also worth saying, compatible with the latest E10 biofuel that's being released in the UK imminently. Going to the back again, you can see completely unmarked paintwork. Comes as standard with this rather large diameter black tailpipes, the 4 tailpipes signifying the M division of BMW, the sporty division of BMW. Gives it quite a purposeful stance at the back there. Again, rear windscreen white, heated as well at the back as a standard feature. Just makes it a bit easier in those cold winter mornings. So have a look here, we've got the power gate opening, so again we use the key on this. You can see that opens fine, no problems there. Practically unmarked boot, and even the carpet's in excellent condition, not really been used for anything in particular. A couple of very short trips. You've got the luggage rails here, a few cubby spots, etc. And there's also the extra luggage capacity underneath there. And of course the pull-back blinds, again unmarked, works nicely. That can be removed for extra stowage. And we'll press the button here. You can, looking at this button here, you can actually close the tailgate or indeed lock it, depending on what you want to do. So if you just want to get something to boot and walk away, you can press the lock button and close, just close the tailgate. Again, full operation working there. Moving into the interior, start at the back. So rear driver side here, the passenger seat's quite a long way back, so it doesn't perhaps show a lot of leg room here, but again, upholstery completely unmarked. I think that's only ever been in one person in the back of this in the time I've had the vehicle. There are some features here you might be able to see if my colleague pans down to the seats. That allows the seat back to come forward slightly, change the angle which you sit at in the rear. Obviously headrests up and down, as you can see there, and the rear seats. We'll just put that back so we can lower them properly. Move the seat forward. And you can see that runs almost flat. If you stay with that image inside the car, we'll do the other side as well. Getting completely flat, unmarked upholstery again, as I said before. Isofix rear seats for the kiddie seats, etc. Come as standard in this car. We've also got in the back here the feature here of heated rear seats and individual climate control. Again, as I mentioned before, I think this has got pretty much every single optional extra you could get from BMW from the factory. We've got the, it's not quite closed pretty, but we've got the centre armrest with some cup holders in there, and there's a hatch to get back into the main part of the boot as well. Look at the door trims here again, the leather interior, you can see unmarked, window switches, etc. It's got the Harman Kardon stereo option here, so particularly expensive stereo option that's in place as well. You can see that speaker on the door. We're moving around to the front, we've got the X3M sill plates, again unscratched, red, have those in such good condition, I'd imagine. On the leather upholstery, again passenger seat, you know, no sign of the bolsters wearing or anything on the leather, very good condition. Sport seats with the optional pull-out thigh supports for a lot of the M models, and the electric seats themselves. So just demonstrate they're working. You can see that runs forward, tilts backwards, etc., up and down. The lumbar support here as well on either side. Glove box opens fully. Inside there's a logbook, etc. Around to the other side of the car again. This door, excellent condition, no marks or scratches there. On this side, again, driver's seat, similar thing, electrical, all electric, 10-way adjustment seats, lumbar, etc., all working. Let's have one quick look at the engine while we're here. Pop that. It's an unusual system here. You have to put it twice to open the boot. First one releases it, the second one pops it up. No sort of conventional lever underneath the bonnet as it used to be in the old days. And you can see the release just from these two mechanisms. Very tidy in here, never needed to go in here. It's been in for both its running in service after 1,000 miles and most recently its first oil change service. Invoice copies I've sent to you or previously on the WhatsApp group, but good condition here. Obviously the strut brace with the M model going across the top of the engine there.
Hey, it's not closed.
Here again. Interior, we'll see the back before we some of the interior features. So again here, unmarked leather upholstery in the doors, stereo as mentioned before, seats, etc. Looking at tyres, that's something you're interested in. So we've got four very large 21-inch alloy wheels at BMW M design. This is the one I mentioned has got some curb rash here, running around about, I'd say maybe 20 centimetres, 15, 20 centimetres around the wheel from about here to about here. That will get rectified next Monday, per my previous comments, but otherwise unmarked. Good condition. The tyres themselves, I think we can scroll down here, you can see underneath for the tyre depth gauge. You know, there's the depth gauge there. Around about between 2 and 3 mil, I'd say, on the rears, a little bit more on the inside edge, a little bit less on the outside edge. There was advisory that was on one of those invoices for some tyre damage, saying it had gone through to the core, but that's completely erroneous and typical BMW mechanics being overzealous trying to change the tyres. I've been to a tyre place, there's a very small nick in the tyre, which is where a stone's been in it, but it hasn't gone anywhere near the cord, and the tyre dealer was quite comical in his lamenting of BMW's assessment for that. Moving around to the front, again, same 21-inch alloys, very large diameter alloys, the big blue caliper signifying the 6-piston BMW M brakes. Traditionally a very weak point in the BMW cars, but for this particular model and the more recent M5 is definitely a big improvement. I will just put the lock on so you can see the tyre depth on that. See there, front tyres, I can't remember exactly what it says on the recent BMW inspection. I think it's between 3 and 4 millimetres there. Certainly quite a lot of depth in there, nowhere near quite replacement yet, but we'll need doing in the relatively soon future. We'll go to the other side again. Get exactly the same again here. Running, yeah, about 4 mil I'd say on there, so maybe just over 4 mil on this one. Again, wheel, no damage on those other 3 wheels whatsoever. Relatively even tyre wear as well across the patch, just slightly more on the inside edge there, which is also with the BMW setup and that slightly increased camber for handling efficiency. Continental Sport Contact 6s, which are the OEM tyre. There is an option for a Michelin, but this is the original one it was supplied upon. Very high performance tyre, and again, completely unmarked wheels. And if we can scroll around for the tyre again, we're about 3 mil, just over 3 mil on this one in terms of the wear indicators. Really hear that sporty exhaust sound now. Valved exhaust, I'll demonstrate in a minute. So we'll go into the car now, we'll do some of the interior features. So here, let's have a look around the cockpit quickly. So we've got the standard big screen there. We've got the little cubby hole here with the mobile wireless charging tray. It does operate, I can't actually film until I've got my phone in my hand as we speak, but you put your phone on that and that charges wirelessly, or there's some USB sockets in various places. Looking inside here, little cubby hole again, optional air freshener, not included in the sale price, but we'll move over that. And in terms of features, we've got the normal BMW iDrive system here. We'll go through some of that in a second, but obviously all works perfectly fine. Electronic handbrake, auto high and low range gearing, hill descent control, except for in here the parking cameras. I'll put that on now. That will probably operate now, I suspect, with the engine on. Let's just start there. And there you go, you can see the rear view camera there of some other cars behind us. Sports exhaust here, on and off for that one. And then the driver setups here. So we've got the throttle sensitivity, the suspension stiffness, and the sensitivity of the steering. You can change those. For those of you who've driven sort of performance BMWs recently, you'll know that when it's first starts up, it's in a very lazy mode, very lazy throttle here until you turn up to sports mode, and then it's a lot more responsive. Quick view here of the dash. You can see no warning lights on whatsoever. We've got the door open warning light because the doors are open, but no warning lights of any sort. Parking brake, and then displaying that my colleague's seat belt's not on. And you can see then there, if I press these buttons, the suspension setting moving from comfort to Sport Plus, etc. As we go through, going back to the it's a very low mileage example, odometer there 7549 currently. I think it's slightly lower than what I said previously on that. No, it won't do any more miles now, other than perhaps back and forth to the car wash and that sort of thing. Then in terms of features in here, we've got the heated seats. They all work. You can see the various settings, 3, 2, 1, etc. As I mentioned, the heated seats in the rear as well as the front here, both working. Auto climate control, so obviously you can turn things up and down individually, or you can set it to a temperature and the car will hold that temperature. One other useful thing I find compared to some other cars I've had is you can set the automatic temperature control but also turn up or down the fan. Personally, I get very annoyed if you set it to 18 degrees and all of a sudden the car puts the blowers on maximum speed trying to cool the car down or heat it up, and it's quite nice to be able to turn that a little bit down and have it slowly work up to the temperature rather than being distracted if you're on the phone or listening to the radio. Heated rear screen, heated front screen, which also uses well, not heated I should say, uses the aircon to clear the front screen. They both work fine. Wireless Wi-Fi from the car and the traffic mode are both activated here. They work. No SIM card paid for in the car, but you obviously can activate that for the wireless internet connectivity. DVD CD player thingy here. No CD in it, so I can't demonstrate that, but 6-disc changer. What else have we got in here? Air recirculation, syncing the controls for the climate control, dual zone climate control here, 4 if you include the back there. And then looking at the the steering wheel here, we've got the characteristic M buttons. You press the M buttons to access your configuration of how you want the suspension, the exhaust and the throttle response going. You can probably hear, if I'm quiet, the difference in the exhaust as I turn it on and off. Very subtle, but you can just about hear that. We've also got, if my colleagues pass me the phone, you can probably see on this thing here, we've got the heads-up display, which is a particularly expensive option now. You can just see it there, so that's showing 30 mile an hour and 0 is my current speed. That can show everything from navigation directions all the way through to, in the M mode, here we go, you get the rev counter and various other things like that. Also then looking at the gearbox, this runs the ubiquitous ZF 8-speed gearbox in a number of performance cars nowadays, BMWs, Audis, Jaguars, Land Rovers, etc. Excellent gearbox. You can move it into sort of a manual roll, going up and down using the plus and minus buttons, or use the paddles on the steering wheel here. And you can also select the severity of the gear change using these buttons on the top to access if you want the gear change to be very snappy and fast, or much smoother, sort of slush automatic type arrangement. What else is lights? We can put the lights on. I mean, they all work fine. I mean, you can see in the future the lights coming on out the side there. Parking sensors front and rear. I think if we stay in now and might be able to put the parking sensors on. Well, there you can see, so some elements of it. This is that top-down view I was talking about, the view generated from the mirrors and the other parking sensors. You see it picks up the various things in the background. And one really nice feature with the reversing camera is these green lines, which indicate where the car's going when you're reversing. And what's nice about it is, as you turn the steering wheel, it corrects where that's going to be. So you can really line up where you want to be in terms of parking. So I could sort of edge out there between that car if I wanted to get that just right. Number of features on here, most of them are pretty standard, so I won't go through those. Obviously they all operate correctly. For example, one thing that's on this model particularly, you may have seen, go to my vehicle, we've got the technology in action, I think it's called. Here we go, the sports display, so you put that up and it gives you a horsepower and pound-foot torque indicator on here. It is showing 2 warning signs here on this, but that's nothing to do with anything to do with the engine or anything. This is just really having the doors open and the seat belts not on, etc. So here we close those, and those have all operated correctly. What else have we got? We've got obviously the radio, works as usual. Also we've got good connectivity to Bluetooth to your phone, etc. Hasn't got Apple iPlayer standard, but you can obviously connect that via your mobile device. And then one last thing to talk about would be the memory setting seats. Obviously you can press the seats here and access your memory, and you can store that against the key itself. So as you get in with one key, perhaps your key sets you up, 6-foot guy, steering wheel perhaps more towards you, your wife or girlfriend, etc. comes in, she uses her other key and it perhaps adjusts the seat to her liking instead. Stop start button we've covered there. It's also got the auto stop start, the fuel economy things, you can turn that on or off for the car to stop as it's going along in traffic, etc. to retain some fuel. I think that's more or less it. We covered the sunroof with it before. You can see now quite a good picture of just how big that is. In fact, if I put the blind all the way back, you can see it really is a full-length panoramic glass window. Front section here opens up as a sunroof, and we can do that as well using the buttons inside. This wind deflector pops up here just to stop sort of the wind whistling over the top, so that's a nice touch. And again, to close, you just pull that down. And again, one more touch just brings you then the blind over. There's another setting I think where we can press this, which just pops the roof up just for a little bit of ventilation and down, and then again the blind coming through. Speakers in the roof here for the phone system, the SOS, BMW SOS button for if you would have an accident, BMW call emergency service, etc. for your location. Mirrors are the usual, vanity lights, etc. on them. Self-dimming rear view mirror here, and all these sort of various intelligent safety system camera up here. That's something perhaps we shouldn't talk about, this orange light on here. So this is the BMW intelligent safety system, another very expensive option extra. Comes with a full suite of safety devices. If I go into the menu, we might be able to see some of these. Let's see, it might be maybe vehicle settings. Here we go, exactly. So this button activates them all. It's currently in orange, which means that I've turned some of those systems off. If you press it into green, it puts them all on. You go see here, put them on. They would be green now. And if we go to what that looks like, you've got steering wheel vibration. So if you're going along and you start to change lanes in the motorway without signalling, it will vibrate the steering wheel to warn you. You've also got an assist there, so it will actually steer the steering wheel back. This is, I think, level 2 automation, so on the motorway, when this can see the lane markings clearly and road signs, this will have radar guided cruise control to hold your speed consistent. It will also steer within the lines, so you can literally take your hands off the wheel and the car will steer and drive itself. You don't have to touch any of the controls, brake, accelerator or steering. It will steer between the lanes. It will accelerate up to the speed you set, and it will brake if a car pulls in front of you. So quite spooky, but does make long trips a little bit easier. You've also got the speed limit assist, so that will tell you when the speed limit is changing. It's a little camera up here that picks up the road signs and puts it into your heads-up display, or again on the dash. Speed warning, so that's currently telling what speed you're doing, and you can set a warning if you go over 75, it will beep at you, for example, to help you control perhaps your excessive use of the throttle. Attentiveness assistant, I'm not entirely sure how this works. I think it's a camera based in the mirror that looks at you and looks at your blink rate. And this, if you start showing signs of fatigue, perhaps drifting off, blinking slower and more often, then that will beep at you and vibrate the steering wheel. We've talked about the parking, climate comfort, etc. Vehicle tracking is enabled in this, but again, not paid for, no SIM in here in terms of all those internet services. And then lastly, on the steering wheel here, I mean, we've jumped around a little bit, but we've got some of those features. So for example, there's the radar guided cruise control here. You can change the speed up and down. You can put a limiter on instead, which just limits your top speed. We've got a distance control on here, so we press that. Once cruise control is activated, which we won't do because we're not moving, then that allows you to change how far it will hold back from the car in front, and whether that steering sort of assist between the lanes is on or not. And finally, heated steering wheel, another option which is quite nice in the winter. Just keeps that wheel nice and warm, along with the heated seats, and the car heats and cools very quickly as well. Electric windows all round, obviously, and that's a standard in most cars nowadays. Electrically adjustable mirrors, and we have got the button here for the boot release as well, so we can release the boot from inside the car. And finally, I did mention the Harman Kardon stereo before. You can see here the signing there demonstrating that. I say it's the top level upgrade, I believe, on the BMW option list from the standard, and I think the Bose is the medium one. And that's about it. Any other questions, please feel free to contact me. Otherwise, thank you for joining us today on another episode of Gary's Garage, and next week we'll go for one of the other cars.